This is the exact outline of how I've created so much client success with previous clients. So if you're looking to start your fitness journey or just looking for a reset, you've come to the right place. Not only am I going to go over this all in the video, I have a free PDF that you'll be able to download and follow along with below. All right, so let's start with strength training, one of the most critical parts of this journey. So for myself and most clients, I'm going to start with 3 days per week of strength training. Now, you've probably heard recommendations for more than that. If you've ever looked at like bodybuilders, they'll recommend 4 or 5, even 6 days per week. I always start with 3 for a couple of reasons. One, it's what most people can stick to. Consistency is always going to trump intensity, so we don't want to overindulge in just the frequency of working out. Second, it allows us adequate time to recover and practice the movements, which is something that's super important to this stage, is mastering the basics. What I mean by this, these are the foundational or fundamental movement patterns that we go through. It's your squatting, your hinging, your pushing, your pulling, your carrying. These movements set the base for our entire training journey. If we can get really good at these movements, you'll get stronger, you'll build energy, you'll build muscle, you'll lean out, all the things follow suit. So think about getting started. We're mastering the basics of each movement. The other thing that's going to be included is a short mobility warm-up. Over my time as a trainer, I've found that a lot of people have common issues with their hips, their ankles, and their shoulders. So as part of each workout that I've included in this PDF guide, I have a short mobility warm-up that can also be used as just a daily mobility drill. Because when you stack strength with mobility, that's when you get long-lasting results and a body that you love and feels good. So the other critical part of this journey is obviously your nutrition. Now, when starting out, and for most of my clients, I work through a 4-step process with nutrition. The first step is just setting your baseline. So for this, we need to understand where you currently are at before we can make any adjustments. I don't want to just take shots in the dark and try to get you on the right path. What I want to do is track what you're doing for about a week without making any changes, and then see what we can change from there. That way, we're making informed decisions about your nutrition to keep you moving forward. So for instance, this week, I'm going to spend all week just weighing and tracking my food and macros to figure out what adjustments I need to make for my goals. Now, this step is critical no matter where you are in your journey if you're going to make any changes. So if you haven't done some form of tracking, whether that's just a food journal or weighing and tracking like I'm doing, this is where you start. And you do it for about a week before you make any changes. Next, we're going to make a couple of changes, and this is based on years of experience where most people need to improve. So the first change we're going to make is setting a protein goal or target. So for most people, I'm going to say that you want to aim for 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight daily. So what does that mean? If I currently weigh 160 pounds and I want to weigh 120 pounds, I'm going to aim for around 120 grams of protein per day. These protein foods are usually animal products, but it can be found in other sources as well. So doing a little bit of research can help a lot with this step. I've also included some of this information in the PDF download below. So once you've set your baseline of your protein goal, that's your first priority and the first change we make. The other goal or focus for this is focusing on mostly whole natural foods. So what does this mean? Is basically you're going to shop around the outsides of the grocery store. You're looking for foods that can be found in nature that haven't been overly processed. So think meats, fruits, veggies, seeds, nuts, those kind of things. Anything that could be found in the ground or walking on the ground is probably a good source for you. Even if you only get to these 2 steps for the remainder of your journey, you are highly likely to have very good success. So this is where most people are going to live throughout their nutrition journey. And probably the changes that I'll make over the next couple of weeks are going to be highly focused on this as well. Now, the 4th step is going to be making small adjustments every 2 weeks or so. The reason we wait 2 weeks is, I'm sure you've noticed if you've ever weighed yourself on a daily basis, we have huge spikes, huge drops, and it never really seems to make sense. So I want to take enough time to figure out what's actually happening with my body. This is where I'm going to look at what my overall goal is. If I'm looking to lose weight, and I've been weighing and tracking or doing my tracking for two weeks following these principles, and I haven't lost any weight, I'm going to eliminate some of the food that I'm eating or lower the calorie intake and then wait another 2 weeks to see if I'm getting the results that I want. Vice versa, if I wanted to gain weight or build muscle, I'm going to do the same thing, but just add food. So for most people, you're actually going to start by adding food. This is called a reverse diet. I have a lot more information on my website and online about this, and this is probably what I'll do. But a reverse diet really quickly is just slowly adding food to try to speed up your metabolism, which leads to long-term success with not only building muscle, but losing fat. So this is the 4 steps that you're going to take with your nutrition, and in the guide there's some more resources around that, but this is the best place to start and probably continue for most of your journey. Now, let's talk about the hidden hero in this equation, which is your lifestyle, your habits, and your mindset. While nutrition and training are going to be the big levers that you pull that get your body to change, a lot of what happens depends on how you handle your time outside of the gym or while you're not eating. So there's 3 main pillars that we're going to cover for our lifestyle and habits. The first one is sleep, which is arguably one of the most important things that you can keep track of during this journey. If we are not sleeping for 7 to 8 hours a night with quality sleep, meaning you wake up feeling rested, more often than not, you're not going to see the results that you want. When we miss out on sleep, a lot of things happen, or don't happen, I should say. 1, we're not going to recover from our workouts, our stress, and our day as much. This is super important because if we don't recover, we can't adapt. Second, if we're low on sleep, and I'm sure you can relate to this, it makes it so much harder to make good decisions. It's really easy to grab that sweet snack when I'm feeling tired or overwhelmed. It's a lot easier to say no to that sweet snack when I've had a good night of sleep and I'm really focused and in that productive mood. So we want to prioritize 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night to ensure that we're recovering and giving ourselves the best opportunity to make the decisions that we need to. After that comes hydration. So for hydration, we really want to focus on getting about half your body weight in ounces of water daily. Now, another thing that you can do if you don't want to do the math, sometimes it's nice just to have the simple answer, is go for about 100 ounces of water a day. If you're a smaller person, you can maybe shoot for closer to 80, but it's critical that we stay hydrated. I can't tell you how many clients that I've worked with where they always talk about having cravings or being hungry, and as soon as we get them drinking enough water, a lot of that disappears. Not only that, they start to notice other great benefits. Their joints feel better. They have more energy. They feel like they can function cognitively better. So keeping on top of your water is huge, and I highly recommend that you do that by starting early in the day, because I also don't want you drinking a bunch of water right before bed and then having to wake up and pee all night, because that would affect our sleep. And the last thing we want to talk about or focus on is just stress, more specifically stress management. Now, one of the biggest things you can do for stress is getting good night's sleep. So that's huge. That's already one step in the right direction. But there's 2 other habits that I think are really important, and if you can implement them into your daily routine, will make it a lot easier to see success with your goals. The first one is going for daily walks outside. Now, this doesn't have to be a half marathon type walk. This can be 10 to 15 minute walk, getting outside, getting in the sunshine. Now, I'm in Minnesota, so in the winter it's not as great, but I still do this because I know how beneficial it can be. One of the things I do with a lot of clients is try to pair this around meals. There's a lot of benefits to walking right after a meal with blood sugar regulation and digestion. So if you can just attach it to a current habit that you have, which is eating, you can have a lot of success. So that could look like even going for 3 walks a day, 1 after breakfast, 1 after lunch, 1 after dinner. In addition, this is just added daily movement. So if you have fat loss goals, it's going to help with that a little bit. But the health benefits of going for a daily walk are huge and can help really regulate your stress, your digestion, and your blood sugar. The other thing that I think is super important, which is a little bit more individualized, is finding 10 to 15 minutes per day to do something that you thoroughly enjoy and help you stay relaxed. Now, so for some people, this is journaling and just getting the thoughts in their head out onto paper. For some people, this is painting or going for a bike ride or hanging out with friends or playing video games. Whatever that thing might be, it's something that brings you joy and just lets you decompress. So often in today's day and age, we are just go, 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 go. Everything has a purpose. We have to be here at this time and then here at this time, and we never have a second to just stop. So finding that moment to stop is super important. This is also where I like, if we go back to the training side of things, to implement some mobility or stretching or some breath work. These things really help to relax the body and just kind of decompress. So it's something you can plug in. But again, your lifestyle, we're focusing on sleep, 7 to 8 quality hours per night. Your hydration, anywhere between 80 to 100 ounces of water or half your body weight in ounces of water per day. And then your stress management and your recovery, getting good sleep, going for daily walks outside, finding that activity that helps you decompress. When we start to stack these different things, the training, the nutrition, and the lifestyle, you'll start to see your results really snowball. And it actually becomes a lot easier than you think it is or what you've heard online. But the important part is that you're consistent with these things and you celebrate the wins. The thing to keep in mind is it's not a race, it's a marathon. We want to move steadily in the right direction, not try to sprint and then just end up crashing and burning. So that's my 30-day coaching blueprint. Again, this is where I start clients and how I'll be coaching myself over the next 30 days. If you're watching this, you can go onto my Instagram and find a recap of how that coaching process is going. Or if you want to download the 30-day blueprint for yourself, that'll be linked below. That includes the 2 workouts that I talked about, the mobility exercises, some nutrition information, and some recommendations around the lifestyle and stress habits that we talked about. If you want to take it a step further and actually get on a call with me to create a personalized plan, I'll also link a way to book to a strategy session below. This is a totally free session, and it just gives us a chance to walk through that plan and what it would look like for you, no strings attached. So hopefully you find this video useful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or comment below and ask. Thanks, guys.